I did see on Instagram, and I just thought this was really funny as a relatively newly married guy. This guy whose advice is don't ever, when you're in an argument with your wife, don't ever tell her to calm down. Tell her that if her tone doesn't change, you're going to wonder how it is that you married her mom. But then again, her mom actually would clean the house and cook. And
Oh my
I was like,
good.
this guy is trying to nuke every married man. I don't understand how this is even on the internet. This should come with a warning. This guy is just trying to.
That is amazing. You're acting like your mom, except your mom would be
Yes.
way nicer to me, is maybe the worst advice that I've ever heard in the history of
I thought that was
mankind, but
the fastest way to absolutely nuke things between spouses is pretty funny.
yeah,
Anyway, I,
that
I
is really, really funny.
I don't know if Zelensky is going to go quite so hardcore when he sits down with Trump. I have a sense now he's going to have to play his cards right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe there will be some public availability with Zelensky and Trump. But Buck, I saw this and I wanted to hit you with it. This is went up this morning. This is from the New York Post. Former president. This is the Spectator World. I believe this is Ben Domenech doing an interview that is out now. The transcript of his interview with President Trump. Trump said when he visited Biden right after he won the election, everybody out there, I think a lot of you will remember the pictures of Trump and Biden sitting beside the fireplace, smiling, Jill Biden seeming very happy because we talked about it on this program. Biden didn't seem very angry about the fact that Trump had won. And Trump said that, and these are direct quotes, so I want to make sure I get them right. I asked him, this is Trump, so who do you blame? Because he was very angry, He was a very angry guy, actually. And he said, I blame Barack. This gets interesting, Buck. He said, I also blame Nancy Pelosi. This is Trump talking about his conversation with Biden. I said, what about the vice president? He said, no, I don't blame her, which was interesting. He didn't blame Kamala. He told me he blamed those two people. So I think this is kind of what we would have anticipated if we were analyzing it without having heard it from Biden himself. But Biden feels like Obama and Pelosi were the leaders of the cabal that knocked him out of the race in 2024. And he doesn't blame Kamala for the way it went down. Now, maybe she was just skilled at moving behind closed doors and not being noticed as being involved. But it is
Uh,
interesting the way that shakes out.
I think this completely lines up. I buy this absolutely. Makes perfect sense to me. Aligns with what we saw happening in real time. I don't want to relitigate this, but all it took was Barack and Pelosi to just have a little bit of a stiffened spine, and Biden actually would have still been the nominee. I know people think I'm crazy, but there were plenty of ways that they could have tried to resurrect the campaign from the numbers that they had. So I believe this, and I think Biden truly believed that he was going to be the guy until he wasn't. I don't think that he thought even after that debate he was going to be able to be pushed out. There was no mechanism to push him out. The mechanism, as we see now, so to speak, was Barack and Pelosi knifing him in the back, so to speak. And that, I think, was the final push. I didn't think they would do it. And here's why. And I think it also ties into why he doesn't blame Kamala. Kamala couldn't win. Kamala knew she couldn't win. She wasn't ready for it. She didn't have the skill set for it. She didn't have the profile for it. But the Democrats, just like they made an enormous strategic blunder by raiding Mar-a-Lago and bringing 4 different criminal trials against Trump and the civil trial nonsense and all of this, Clay, just like they made all these horrible decisions in this process, this was another horrible decision by the Democrat apparatus, in this case led by Pelosi and Biden, which makes perfect sense. Those would be the two most prominent Democrats. By the way, more so than even Biden when he was president, of course. They had more power than he did. No one really thought that, Mr. Vegetable was actually calling the shots. So I think this is totally true. I think that this goes to the lack of political judgment. Remember, Barack Obama was disastrous. People always forget this. disastrous for all Democrats in elections not named Obama. He did well for himself 2 terms, fine, but the Obama movement did not ever stretch to other people, to big wins in the House. It obviously led to Donald Trump in 2016.
Not only that, but Obama tried to come out and campaign with Kamala, and it fell flat. And I do think this also, if we got the full story, would be Obama was basically pulling the strings to get George Clooney to write that New York Times editorial. I think that's what the Biden people definitely think as well, is that Obama was moving behind the scenes, pulling strings, machinations. Remember, Buck, we have talked about it. It's still so strange that he's never left DC. I get it. Early on, if you have kids and you want them to finish school, I'll be honest with you, there's nowhere in America I would move right now because my kids are in good schools. They're not off to college yet. I understand, and a lot of you out there who are parents probably have made decisions. Hey, I'm staying in this job. I'm not moving because it's best for my kids to be able to finish high school. I want them to be able to finish the school they're in right now. So I will give him a pass for a few years until Sasha and Malia officially left the home and went off to college. But once that happens, there's no reason for him to stay in Washington, D.C. And remember, we had that big
Except to
discussion.
meddle. And there was that big
That's
article.
right.
I know you're going to reference this. The big article about the Obama presidency, effectively a shadow presidency.
That's
He's
right.
got a mansion, a 10-minute cab ride from the White House. And
And
so,
he said publicly he would love to run the country just without the responsibilities of having to do all the handshaking and all of the movement around behind scenes. And basically, I think this is what that's telling you, that Biden saw this. Now, I do wonder. Remember, this is a conversation Trump had right after the election. I do wonder if the Kamala positivity still exists because some of the interaction between Kamala and Jill Biden for sure has been frosty on a level where even I notice it. Like
well,
the shoulder is so cold that I can't even look away.
I like this because we get to read the tea leaves and get into get to play shrink on the couch here, Clay. I think that Jill Biden never liked Kamala, and I think it really goes to when Kamala called her husband a racist on the stage. I know that the Democrats forgot that whole thing, but she really went after Biden in a way that tarnished his legacy. And if you're Jill Biden, that's what matters to you, secondary only to him being president, right? The Biden legacy is a critical aspect of what Jill Biden thinks she's preserving. So Kamala went after Biden, calls him a racist on that stage. That results in, I think, Jill Biden never forgiving or forgetting. Joe Joe he's a scummy guy. He's been in politics forever. It's different, right? He doesn't view, but I think he gives Kamala a pass because he knows she wasn't the one maneuvering to push him aside. And he knows that. It was Pelosi and Obama. And then Kamala had no choice. But I think Jill still views it as you went after my husband publicly and you betrayed him. I don't care that it wasn't your idea. That's how I would break it down.
I think that's very right. And there is a lot here, I think. Remember, Biden has been very quiet. In the month since he left, he basically, I know he doesn't have a lot of energy to do anything, but even for Biden in the month since he's left, he's been very quiet. At some point, I don't know who the person's going to be. We know the book is coming out from Jake Tapper, who's lied about all the Biden related health concerns and claim that he talked about, we know those are all lies. Okay. But at some point, somebody is going to write the Biden score settling book. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe a campaign manager. It may be a trusted, from their perspective, media source. And I think you're going to hear a lot of these accusations because what they're going to be fighting over in the future, Buck, is who actually is responsible for Trump coming back. Because Biden looks like an accidental president right now who never should have been in office. Remember, even people who are not crazy right-wing conspiracists are saying, did he really get 81 million votes? Like, I
Well,
mean, there's a lot of people starting to ask those questions now.
but you hit on something critical as well. This isn't just about the exercise of the blame game as it pertains to the different egos involved here and the legacies. There is no leadership of the Democrat Party right now. So and there's no agenda for the Democrat Party other than crying and hoping that Trump stops doing what he's doing. So what you have, and this makes sense given the power dynamics of the Democrat Party, is a fight that is going to be brewing right now, and in a lot of it in front of us, I think, over exactly what you said. Who is responsible for this mess the Democrats are in? Because that group or those individuals can get sidelined, and there can be somebody else that leads the Democrat Party against Trump going forward. But that's why they have to figure this out now, because somebody's heads have to roll. Somebody has to be held accountable for this disaster they find themselves in. A Democrat Party that is the weakest I've ever seen it in my life. I've never seen the Democrat Party as weak as it is right now. So they have, and everyone knows this, right? It's not like anyone's claiming the Democrats are in a good position. So is it the Pelosi Obama faction that gets the blame? Is it changing, therefore, the leadership toward a more, at least ostensibly, moderate purple state Democrat, somebody like a Gretchen Whitmer or Wes Moore? We've talked about some of these names. That's all happening right now. We'll take calls on this as well. 800-282-2882. Clay tells me one of the fun things about having kids is getting to relive all those things from your childhood, but through their eyes. Remember walkie-talkies when you were a kid? Those were a lot of fun. Now imagine walkie-talkies, but with a whole new array of technology and a whole bunch of new uses for adults. Our sponsor, Rapid Radios, has the modern version of the walkie-talkies you grew up with as kids. With a single button, you can talk to anyone nationwide, but not just in the neighborhood. That's because Rapid Radio's walkie-talkies are accessing a nationwide LTE network by grabbing a hold of any cell tower network close by. That's just one of the reasons why these are selling so quickly. Families, friends, coworkers can all stay in touch, particularly when there's a disruption like a natural disaster. Remember, my in-laws who are actually staying with me in South Florida this weekend, when they got hit hard by that hurricane in Asheville, North Carolina, I was talking to them the next day, despite all the communications disruptions, on Rapid Radios from my living room, clear as day. It's great technology. Rapid Radios are easy to use, something you want to have for day-to-day use, but also in case of. Go online to rapidradios.com. You'll get up to 60% off free UPS shipping from Michigan, plus a free protection bag. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. These Rapid Radio walkie-talkies have batteries with a 5-day charge, ready to go out of the box. Rapidradios.com. Use code radio